Right.
What
Oh,
up,
wow, that's
y'all?
pretty perfect. Yeah.
Live we are. Welcome to the horror show. Cecil Laird is joining me momentarily. Right beside me, I'm Jaime Fuego.
I'm Cecil Laird, and I can move the camera just a little bit more.
Yes, you may. And
I gotta get this perfect.
yes, we must, because
There
this
we
is
go.
a big time reaction, guys. This is our 9-day, well, I guess when you see it, it'll be almost 8-day early review of Alien Covenant, which is one of the biggest horror sci-fi releases of the entire year. Ridley Scott actually making an Alien movie as opposed to an Alien Universe movie, which there's going to be a lot to talk about after seeing this one early. Both
Yes.
good and, unfortunately, bad for me as well. Not to say that I didn't enjoy it. However, I had quite a few qualms with this film, and I'm just going to say that right off the bat.
Interesting, because
Yes.
I, conversely, really liked this movie a
It
lot.
was very good, but there were some problems.
I don't know that I had that many problems with it, honestly. I am surprised at how much I liked it, but here's the thing. To me, I think Ridley Scott struck a very good balance between sort of the old and the new, and not only between sort of the old way of telling the Alien movies and the new way of telling the Alien movies, and not only the old way of doing special effects and the new way of doing special effects.
Maybe the James Cameron way and the CGI way,
A
but
little-
if we're going to go in that
there
direction.
was a lot. Okay, so yes, there's a lot to discuss here, you
Yes.
guys, and we will check in on the comments in a little bit. But first off, we're going to go ahead and do the review like we normally do it. We're going to give our overall thoughts, and then we're going to talk about the story. Where'd the facehugger go?
I still have it was attacking me a moment ago.
Yeah, put him right here. Put him there or something.
Yes. We've actually killed him already, Bishop style, aliens, yo.
Exactly. So we're gonna talk about the overall thoughts, the story, the acting, definitely the effects, the music, the editing, all that good stuff.
And we're not going to go like spoilerific with this.
No, this is not going to be spoiler.
Sort of
We're going to do a separate spoilers review that we'll release in a day or two, and you guys can choose to watch it or choose to watch it later, whatever you want. But let's start off with our overall thoughts. So you clearly weren't. Well, I guess we kind of did our overall thoughts. You weren't as big a fan as I was, but for my overall thoughts, I'll say that not only did I like it, but I thought the acting was really good. I really liked the continuation from Prometheus, having just rewatched Prometheus.
That was my favorite bit of this entire movie, was continuing that story.
Yeah, that was really amazing, although kind of gruesome at times when you find out sort of certain things. But anyway,
which were easily suspected too. I must say there was
a lot of giving away. Yeah, that I will say that's true. Yeah, and yes, that's true. Especially the big twist at the end. That was we saw that coming around. Well, I saw as soon as we got the chance to figure that out, I knew it. I was like, oh, come on.
A couple characters.
Yeah, exactly. But overall, honestly, I just enjoyed the hell out of it, especially the fact that I thought that it's great. It was Ridley Scott's origin of the xenomorph, and it was also
it, obviously.
Well, not only that, but specifically the xenomorph that we know, because prior to this we only had the neomorph, and we got more neomorph in this as well. Which I also have to say, the neomorphs were much better utilized. Well, obviously better utilized because they barely appeared in the last one, but they were truly scary to me too. So overall, I thought it was a tremendous success.
Yes.
You go for it.
Yes, I will not say that this was a crappy movie. There is no way, shape, or form I could ever utter those sentences like I could with the AVP movies, which when I saw them in theaters, I absolutely despised. And yet, after rewatching both recently for some, coverage we did for the 30th anniversary of Aliens, I guess at the end of the day, there was a slight bit more appreciation for what they were trying to do, but for this, it almost... I'm hearing an echo.
Sorry about that.
Sorry about that.
Sorry about that. No, I just want to check in on the live chat here.
Yes, Cecil's getting on it right now. But, yeah, there was just not very much liveliness, good casting, or anything in those AVP movies, and so for me, I was upset with them, and yet Prometheus I loved when I watched it. Problems, obviously, maybe better ideas than absolute execution, but still incredible. I know you had initial problems with Prometheus, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, when I first saw Prometheus, I was deeply disappointed because as an Alien prequel, I thought it would deliver more. But
where the hell are these guys? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Although we saw like a huge one.
Yeah, we did. We saw a big tentacly version of it, but yeah, I was disappointed that it wasn't what I was hoping for in an Alien movie. Now, with the benefit of hindsight and knowing what it was going into my rewatch of Prometheus, I enjoyed the film way more, which we'll talk about in our Prometheus review. But as a result, I enjoyed this movie way more because it literally just continued that storyline first and foremost.
Yeah, and this is where I can piggyback in such an amusing fashion because so it was the complete opposite for me. I was expecting an alien movie in this, and it felt like a tropey alien movie with too many beats I'd seen before.
Really?
And oh yes, the fact that we had a femme fatale again, the fact that there's a beacon, a distress signal coming from a planet that's so conveniently, all these different things I've seen before. And
but the distress signal came from somewhere we knew, which is what was nice.
Yeah, but a lot more CGI and so many other things that I just, it was a lot.
But it's not like Alien 3 CGI. No, it's 2017 CGI.
Not at all. And the CGI isn't even, it was just the familiar beats more so than the look of the film.
Okay.
So
the story didn't impress you?
If we're going to segue into story, the only thing that I'm going to say first and foremost is I prefer Prometheus to this movie.
Really?
Very much
okay.
so. Okay. I felt like, and this is something that I want to expound upon on an article that I want to, because the whole time I was like, man, if we're seeing this 9 days early, I want to write an actual proper article about a film from my absolute favorite series, not just for film, but for sci-fi horror in general. We're talking Dark Horse Comics, we're talking novelizations, which were done by many decent sci-fi dudes. I mean, mostly guys like Kevin J. Anderson, who did some Resident Evil stuff here and there. But nonetheless, I mean, my favorite sci-fi universe, probably. And I felt like the last few films were a disservice, and Prometheus expanded awesomely, and this one didn't bring a lot of new stuff to the table. When I liked it the best, though, it was when it was following the Prometheus story ties.
Yes, although even some of that was like, wow, really? Oh,
harsh and effed up for sure.
Yeah, it really was.
Without giving a lot away.
But yeah, well, I guess I see your point, but I gotta say, if I stand them up next to each other, now that I really appreciate Prometheus way more than I used to, I might agree with you that it might be. I don't know. See, here's the thing. This one was enjoyable all the way through, and story-wise, I have to mention that this one got me into it and invested in the characters way faster than any other Alien movie ever has.
Including Prometheus?
Including Prometheus, yes. Because this, and we have to mention also that the two prequels, or prologues, that we did reactions to, you won't see the second one until after this airs, unfortunately, but I'll put it up rapidly.
At the same time, though, kind of BS that they are all together now, not in the movie.
No. Well, it's their prologues.
Yeah.
They do go before the movie, which I liked. I was like, okay, cool. So it wasn't a waste of time to do reactions to those.
And it's stuff for the DVD. Well, actually, DVD is dead. Blu-ray release, whatever.
Blu-ray, digital extras, whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, and that leads to the prologue actually leads into, in a roundabout way, the beginning of this movie, which is immediately engaging to me. Because you see Walter, who is the new version of the David synthetic from Prometheus, as he is tending to his crew.
That's not the beginning though, remember?
Well, no, not the beginning.
Yes,
beginning.
I know.
Yeah, I know. Well,
which was great.
I'm being careful.
Yes.
But yeah, so you see Walter tending to the crew, and you see some really cool effects actually as you see the ship, how it recharges using solar, I don't even know what they called them, but
they were ready for a lengthy journey basically, because they had thousands of colonists on this ship, and they also had crew of like 15 to 20, something like that. I can't
actual crew members,
actual crew, like besides the synthetic or whatever they call them.
Yeah.
Android cyborg, I'm like struggling to recall what Bishop, and the bad one in the first film was called. But,
Yeah. But anyway,
yeah.
so they're out there and the ship is recharging and something happens that throws the ship into a semi-emergency situation and Walter has to wake up the crew and thus starts the story without giving away too much.
Yes.
It's even more engaging than I'm making it sound like, for good reason, and it's one of those moments that can be likened to other moments in horror movies where it's like, ooh, that's not what I expected for that character. But
especially when we had seen in promo stuff, and we were just like, oh.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, again, we're being careful not to spoil too much.
Yes.
But yeah. So anyway, the point is, it's very engaging right off the bat, and then it continues to be engaging beyond that. Again, if you didn't like Prometheus, I encourage you to give it a rewatch because it is the basis for this movie. This is a true sequel to Prometheus, not just trying to kind of skirt away from what they started there. It's very much a sequel to it.
And that's not really to say, though, that it can't stand on its own, because, I mean, you will be enriched more by watching Prometheus beforehand, but I'd say if you didn't know all that much, and it could stand alone if you've seen, like, earlier Alien movies, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, someone asked, it looks like Rubber Soul asked, do they balance the funny and the humor well? There's actually not that much funny in this.
No, not at all.
Even considering Danny McBride, I don't think he cracked a single joke.
Yeah, which
maybe
is,
one.
I mean, a quip or two. But yeah, I'm trying so hard not to.
Well, you don't
not
have to
say
spoil.
bad things.
Well,
you know,
well,
but,
you can tell your opinion if you didn't like.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really surprising because I really did enjoy this movie.
I'm just overly critical, perhaps, of the fact that I just love the Dark Horse universe expansion and stuff so much.
You gotta separate that. It's not the same.
Oh, and I
it's
have,
not...
but and I have, but compared. Okay, this is the best way I can describe. Are we going to jump from storytelling to?
Yeah,
acting,
we can get into that. I think sure.
Okay, so the last thing I will say about the storytelling is that it kind of felt to me like Ridley Scott with Prometheus was so awesomely trying to do something different when people were expecting him to do something similar. And then with this movie, he decided to do something familiar, not necessarily similar, but just grabbing different bits from different previous Alien films. And there were, once again, lots of beats and stuff that I felt were in other films and felt too familiar. And so, you know, beyond that, it's not even about my love of the series. It's about the fact that I was expecting not mashing Prometheus with James Cameron's Alien, and that's pretty much what I got. So,
all right. Well, I can see what you're saying.
At least for me.
Well, okay.
Personal opinion.
Regarding the acting, for me, I thought Michael Fassbender again stole the show.
Tremendous, and it's common knowledge he's playing two different androids. So he is playing David from the original film
and Walter from this new film, which
exactly.
is taking place 10 years after Prometheus.
So you would imagine he's an updated model, right?
And yes, and that comes into play, which is one of the interesting points, I thought.
One of the best plot points, actually.
And not only that, but they really push the limits of an actor acting against himself in a couple of scenes. That was really engaging, I thought. That was really fun to watch how they did that. But yeah, Michael Fassbender was amazing in this movie.
As he was in Prometheus, some of the best
Agreed.
work in that entire film. Him
Agreed.
and Numi, who she's
does
in
appear.
this.
She does appear in the
she's
movie.
In this. That's all we're gonna say.
Yes. So, the outside of Michael Fassbender, as far as the new crew goes, I thought Danny McBride was good, and some of you might end up being surprised. Vanessa, you really need to watch the movie. Watch the movie; you might be surprised. Anyway,
he's good at doing kind of a slightly quippy horror guy, which gives me good faith for
but
the
he actually
Halloween.
had some heart too. They gave him a chance to drama it up a little bit, and I thought that was good.
There are certain plot points because it's all a bunch of different couples that are kind of on this journey. So
yeah, it is.
Take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, exactly.
It was in the prologue. I mean,
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Once again,
I had
it's
actually
safe to say that
point, but yeah.
I am not a spoiler.
Well, what did you think of the rest of the crew, and namely the Ripley analog? Because clearly that's what Daniels was.
Yeah, and that was one of the other beats that I just had an issue with, especially after rewatching Prometheus, where there's another femme fatale, and that's obviously
well, they did give her the most to chew on, though, as far as drama goes in the story.
If we're going to talk performances, I will probably say my biggest disappointment was Billy Crudup. He was this whiny, good for nothing that
I thought he was okay.
Oh, I could not stand his character. He
Really?
felt like he was playing against cast and it was forced, and I'd never seen him play something so.
That was the captain, right?
So sniveling. Well, the captain.
Yeah, the captain.
Yeah, the captain. I can't say beyond that. The captain. Oh, captain, not my captain, and definitely not Catherine Watterson or whatever her name's captain. She was constantly butting heads with him about just course of action as they get on this planet that, like, I don't know, it has connections to characters from the previous film. That's all we're gonna say. So
yeah. I actually thought he did pretty well. I thought he handled himself accordingly, although there was a little bit of slow moving at times when you'd think he would be moving a little bit faster considering the situation.
Hence the sniveling, just unsure of himself.
That's just that one part,
sense
though.
of urgency, though. I don't know. I honestly felt like he was constantly second guessing himself based on circumstances, and
well,
he was not a very strong leader, which is why, I mean, it's gonna be a badass lady, you know that. So that's why there is certain.
Well, maybe so, but
Yeah.
I thought, and unfortunately, the rest of the actors were a little bit disposable.
Mm-hmm. They were very one-dimensional, regrettably, and
Yeah,
included lots of their behavior.
But they were all enjoyable, but they weren't necessarily. You weren't like, oh, I really hope they make it out. There were only a few of those, really.
Yeah, exactly, and he made it out for me.
He did. Now, to the point of, I think Rubber Soul asked, were the kills at least good? I'm going to say yes. It was awesome that this movie Prometheus was PG-13, yes?
No, Prometheus
was R. It did not take advantage of it.
No,
this took advantage of its R rating.
Yes.
And I enjoyed the hell out of that, especially
in a very similar manner to Alien versus Predator Requiem, I suppose.
A little bit. And
after rewatching that, it felt like it took some sensibilities from just the outright gore of that movie.
I liked
the CGI.
There was some really cool alien attacks in this.
Yes, there were.
And again, I reiterate that the neomorphs were scarier than I thought they would be. Like not only their human likeness, but they're when they're early on, they're very feral, and they follow the life cycle of the typical xenomorph in that they start small and get rapidly bigger.
Yeah, but much
deadlier, much more aggressive,
which we even saw in Prometheus, where it was growing in her.
Yeah,
and it was like, are you 3 months pregnant? She had sex the night before. So sorry if we're spoiling Prometheus, which is like 5 years old.
Yeah.
But yeah, rapid growth state.
Yeah, and so but not only that, but in the posturing at one point of how the neomorph stands, and it's like
one particular interaction that
which was interesting too. Like there was a lot of really interesting things in this movie. Now,
and that's where
there weren't a lot of answers to the questions posed in Prometheus.
Well, there were a few,
but enough to satisfy me.
Yeah, and amen. Myself as well. Those who paid enough attention. One of the biggest things that a lot of people who were looking for like gore and craziness in Prometheus didn't realize, and that's not to knock my friend here, but he even was like, it was a lot deeper of a film than he initially realized, because if you're going in thinking, oh, it's going to be Resurrection or any of the AVP movies, it's going to be violent city, paper-thin plot, but Prometheus was, I mean, about as deep as what Pacific Ocean is the deepest, I think, possibly? I'm not sure.
Oh, for what? The deepest part of the ocean?
Deepest ocean?
Mariana Trench.
Okay, as deep as
deepest
the
part of the ocean, yeah.
Okay, compared to the original Alien movies, though, guys, just to clarify, very, very deep and had so much to say in Prometheus, and one of my only problems is the fact that, this didn't feel quite as deep. It felt like it was retreading prior.
See, I can understand
topics.
that. This movie was indeed okay. First off, for Mike Hoolgan that just jumped on, yes, it was a great movie in my opinion. I loved it
too, but I wouldn't say it's amazing.
Okay, well, I enjoyed the hell out of it. I might even go so far as to say amazing, but I would say that the kills were enjoyable for sure, which we'll get into here shortly. But overall, I was super impressed. Rubber Soul says hashtag not my captain. That's for you, Fuego, because Billy Crudup was hashtag not my captain.
Yes.
The Late Late Horror Show. Dino just jumped on.
Hey,
What's up, dude? Yes, it is absolutely worth a watch, and in my opinion, very much worth going to the theater for.
Yes, do not miss this in a theater. Just because I have qualms with it doesn't mean it's not 100 times better than Predators. Both of the AVP movies, Alien Resurrection. This is, I mean, it has some similar bits to Alien 3 at times. I agree.
Yeah. No, that and I was gonna say that it was like you could definitely see aspects of Prometheus, aspects of Alien, aspects of Aliens, and aspects of Alien 3.
Yeah, and so to summarize that, you can see Ridley Scott basically with his writing team, which is a different writing team than Prometheus, and it felt very different for that distinctive fact. And it almost combines every previous Alien film we've seen after he left the franchise.
A little bit, but there was a lot of Alien 1 in there too.
Little notes here and there. I mean, basically
the corridors with the shutting the corridors behind them all the way through.
Every shout back then, they're borrowing ideas from every installment. Yeah.
But I thought it was successfully done. Like again, in the age where Star Trek came back out of the gate, really kicking ass, and Star Wars was coming back and invoking the original. This did that, but I didn't mind it because it was such a good mashup of them all. I couldn't help but be like, oh, okay, I know what you're doing there. I'm in. I like it. Like, I just enjoyed the hell out of that.
Just to get back to the point, the only thing that I will say once more before we get into the music, which I
briefly we'll touch on the music, then we'll talk about the creatures and effects.
Yeah, but the last thing I have to say before we jump in is the fact that once again, going with the unfamiliar and different in Prometheus, I felt was like a risk, whereas this went back to more traditionally charted territory, man, and for that reason, it didn't feel like it was as risk-taking, and that's why it wasn't as fulfilling for me, despite really liking the story.
That's fair. That's fair.
And all the Prometheus story stuff was rad. All that continuation was so good.
But to get into the music, I enjoyed the music in this because right off the bat, during the when you see the title come up, they're hearkening back to the Alien music, not the Prometheus music, because I was not a huge fan of the music in Prometheus. I thought, we both. What did you say? You coined it pretty well earlier.
Oh, it was like a Star Wars, Star Trek mashup of some very similar note progressions, and
it was. It was like, like it was like, why is it? What is going? It was like it was very Star Trekky for sure.
Yes.
But this is remixing the music from the original in a way where I was like, that's the first Alien music.
And there were parts from 2 as well.
There were indeed,
Beats,
but not only that, but they did bring the Prometheus music in a really interesting spot, and I was like,
kind of an essential way too.
It really was, and I leaned over to Fuego. I was like, that's the Prometheus theme, and I was like, that's really cool. I know. Really good. Yeah, it was really used well. I thought the music was really good. Yeah. But everything, it had the tasteful throwbacks. Well, I guess I can't really say it carved. Too. Yeah. Oh yeah. I can't really say the music carved its own path because I couldn't couldn't point to a musical beat where it was like, oh, that's going to be from Alien Covenant.
Yeah.
So I guess that might be a little bit of a detriment.
Again, lots of familiar beats. Are we noticing a trend here?
But that being said, I think let's get into the you want to do the gore and the kills before the creatures or the creatures first?
I guess creatures first for the sheer fact that after watching Requiem just a few days ago, leading up to this, I felt the lack of practical kind of upsetting.
There was still some practical
a little
in there.
Bit. More so set design than creatures, though.
Well, there was one or two. There was a practical Xeno in there.
You think so?
The shower Xeno was definitely practical Xeno.
Really?
Oh,
okay, maybe that.
But yeah. So there was. But I guess if I'm like just pointing to one scene, again, that was in the trailer, which is why I'm not spoiling anything.
Oh, the way that thing was moving around, it was like I've never seen a Xeno moving like that. It
was
so young and nimble.
That's what I liked about it. It did what Alien 3 tried to do with the effects that could actually pull it off.
And talk about a throwback that they also had in there. This doesn't spoil anything. Remember all those POV shots in Alien 3 where it's running through the corridors?
Yeah, we did get that.
A few of those.
Yeah.
Man.
That was fun. It
actually was good. It looked better than those that Fincher filmed, and they looked all distorted and kind of.
So let's talk about it because we did see Neos and Xenos in the trailer, so we're not spoiling anything to say that both of them are in it. Let's talk about the Neos first.
There was great gore from all creatures in this movie.
There really was, and again, the Neos were way scarier than I thought.
That's where I make the Requiem comparison because that is the only other, in my opinion, deliberately brutal alien movie that we'd seen before.
It's surprising to see this much gore come from Ridley Scott, although not when you consider he's done
what they wanted.
But he's done gore in the past, right? With some of his movies.
I mean, Gladiator.
Exactly, for sure. A lot in Gladiator, but he had more fun with it in this than he definitely did in Prometheus and in the original Alien.
I still bet it was coming more so from his writers, man.
Maybe so, but I didn't care. Gore literally played a part in the set design and the drama.
Played some of the best parts in the entire movie for me, because I really felt a lot of Requiem in this, where despite having awesome characters and like actor-wise, like in Prometheus, I felt like this was kind of similar to the first AVP, where you had like real names and they still didn't really bring it too well. I kind of felt that way for a lot of this. I did like McBride, and I thought Watterson was stereotypical enough, but beyond that, there was a lot of disappointment for me in the acting in this. It just felt serviceable, and when you have big names being serviceable, that's where I get critical. So
that's fair. But still, the creatures overall, the neomorphs, I thought were amazing. And again, when the neomorphs attacked, it was amazing. They used their appendages, their tail, whipping at people. I was like, one of the coolest kills comes from one of the neomorphs' tails, and it's really quick, but it was like, ooh, that was aggressive.
Yes.
And then not only that, there was another one that was even more aggressive, having to do with the posturing that I told you about earlier on. And when it attacks, it's like you imagine what a werewolf attack, a close range werewolf attack would be.
Oh, yeah.
And it was amazing. It was really cool. I dug the hell out of that. So the neomorphs were great, and then of course you saw the Xeno.
All the kills and all the effects amongst all the creatures were great. It was just some of the scripting and some of the acting that I have to keep coming back to.
All right, relax.
I'm trying, but there's more like crap talking on the script than I was saying.
It's not that bad. What else? Go ahead. What else was wrong with the script?
Okay, well, another spoiler that is not...
No, don't spoil.
Okay, well, it's not a spoiler, but it's something you see in the trailers where they're walking around on a planet. Remember how they were on their planet they were investigating in Prometheus, and remember how they were when they were investigating this new planet. There was a certain lack of equipment that was not there, and the lack of having that equipment is the one big downfall of Infection, which we see in the trailers. They're not in suits. And it was one of the biggest, most basic things that I was like, really?
That didn't matter in Prometheus. They took their suits off as soon as they were inside.
True, but the fact that they at least went on, they went halfway there in Prometheus.
It didn't matter.
They
negated the suits in Prometheus, so the suits didn't even matter. So,
but
whatever.
To investigate a brand new planet without any suits of any kind, it's in the trailers, man. I'm not spoiling.
I'm putting a wall up on that argument.
Really? Because I think it's pretty valid. What
Nope.
you guys think? No, it's not at all.
You don't think that the Xeno, the face hugger would have jumped through the helmet? It has in the past.
No, I'm talking about the spores you see in the trailer.
Oh well, okay, but they're exploring a planet they're specifically having to explore the planet to see if it's habitable for their entire colony.
Didn't they say the Prometheus one was habitable though, except for the storm that was going on at the time? So they went in with their suits on and they were.
No, it wasn't. They had to have their helmets on when they were outside in Prometheus. It was not a hospitable environment.
If I remember well.
You don't remember correctly, Fuego.
I guess not.
No, inside the ship they could take their suits off, but outside of that they could not.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, they could survive for a few
wrong.
minutes.
No,
anyway,
no.
why would you investigate a new planet? I don't know.
Doesn't matter. Anyway, the kills
Apparently
were great. The aliens were awesome. The xenomorph was, I think, still super scary. And even though it wasn't as practical as we've seen before, when you look back, yes, the aliens were scary, but they didn't have to move very far. They could have them just lunge once from a wall. The aliens had to run and come at people and take on multiple people. They couldn't just do that practically and make it look good. So I see why they did the CG upgrade, and honestly, it looks really cool. I thought it was an excellently presented film. So yes, Alien Covenant for me. I would probably, if we're gonna score it,
how many alien eggs? Maybe.
I would say this is. I would give this 8.5 feral neomorphs out of 10. 8.5 out of 10.
Okay.
For me.
8.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
I would say probably
maybe 8.
No.
8.5. Yeah,
I'd say
8.5.
6 to 7 probably. I mean, okay, so a 6th one with a egg that was gonna hatch out and jump on somebody's face and it got splattered and killed. So 6.5 for me. 6.5 xenomorph
Really? A
eggs that you would make an omelet with. Yeah. Unfortunately,
Wow.
I liked. I love Prometheus in comparison with this, and I like certain bits of Alien 3 and Resurrection better than this. That just felt so unoriginal in a lot of ways. Too many for me.
Fair enough.
I did not hate it. I recommend everybody go see it and make their own judgment.
Uh,
Just for me.
Okay, well,
6.5. I mean, it's not a failing grade.
fishing through Alien GoPro, Alien Horror says about the POV shot. Mike says, thanks so much, guys. Was kind of worried. Would be a generic horror movie. Def gonna catch this in IMAX. Yes.
Yeah.
I love the entire series. So yes, can't wait to see Late Horror Show. Dino, definitely check it out. Let's see.
I can just jump in and say the fact that if you liked Prometheus, you have to see this movie because the best parts of this movie for me were the continuation of the Prometheus storyline in contrast with similar beats to the Alien storylines we've seen countless times. And it's not just this movie that's guilty of those beats. It's just about everyone at this point. So the Prometheus continuation, though, was intriguing, awesome, and my favorite part of this whole thing. Stuff with the engineers is badass.
Adam Barbie says, I don't need my Alien films to all be as deep as Prometheus. The first 2 films weren't on that level, and they are some of the best movies of all time. Take it down a notch, Jaime. Pierre Black says, I am so excited. Mike Holgan says, curious to see if Walter will side with David or try and fend him off from the colonists.
It is
interesting.
It's honestly one of the best plot points there, is seeing their despondent perspectives.
Let's see. Okay, so Adam is frustrated that you said that the planet is hospitable in Prometheus when it wasn't. He said he's nitpicking like crazy. This is almost unwatchable. All right, well, it's not unwatchable, Adam.
I didn't say hospitable. I said the fact that they could survive for portions of time on it. Come on, man.
Okay. I want to go see it right now, Pierre Black says. Yes, you guys definitely should. So we're caught up on the comments, but I think that's a good place to call it, really, for our review of Alien Covenant. We are going to be recording a spoilers review after this, so you guys can see that in the upcoming days here. If you want to have it spoiled for yourselves, you can. But for right now, we're going to go ahead and stop there. So thank you guys very much for watching. Obviously, there was a slight difference of opinion. 8.5 here, 6.5 there. But definitely go see it for yourselves in the theater and give it your own opinion. And then come back and shoot down in the comments once this review is fully uploaded and everything. Let us know what you thought. Or let us know what you thought in the spoilers review, because once you've seen it, hey, jump in on the discussion over there. So
we're still a week from most people being able to see this movie.
Oh yeah, oh no, hey, there you go.
Yeah, come at us when you can.
We did not spoil anything, believe it or not.
No,
so you guys can still go in and enjoy the hell out of this movie, whether Fuego believes you can or not.
No, I didn't say that. I said see it, but it didn't wow me the way I was. The burden of expectation, my friend, is a really, really tough order to follow.
It is, but I thought it fulfilled it. So thanks again for watching, you guys. I've been Cecil Laird.
Looking at the comments, I've been Jaime and Fuego looking at you. Thanks so very much. And until next time, peeps, remember,
stay scared. Gotta stop it. I gotta stop it.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Guys, I actually really want you to go see it. I just didn't.